Hello, this is Chris Goldthorpe, and this video is more for chess teachers even than parents of kids or the learner themselves. What you're going to find sometimes is a parent with a child that's not very direct or very honest about their level of motivation, and they may ask, "How's Johnny doing? How is Jane doing?" This question usually comes from two motives. Either the very ambitious competitive parent who really wants to see their child become a champion and expects them to be, which is often a reasonable expectation, and the parent who sort of knows that their child is not very interested or does not have a lot of aptitude. So this is for the chess teacher. How will you answer this question when they say, how is their child doing? Which on the surface is meant to be or to look like a very plain question, like how are they doing with their chess? But the answer is not simple, because a parent's motivation for having their child do chess might not always be exactly or only what it appears to be. Most parents recognize the value in teaching their children how to think better, and that is 99.9% of the value of chess being taught to most kids. After all, what's the chances that the child will make a professional living from chess as an adult? It's really practically zero. Chess usually just becomes part of a child's learning how to think better and how to think logically and develop critical thinking skills in addition to the other skills that they learn, social skills and so forth, from chess. So how is Johnny doing? This could mean, is he headed for a state championship? Is he behaving well in class? This is a completely different question coming from the parent of a kid in a group class at a school, or a mere group class at, say, a YMCA or a summer camp, or the parent of a private student that you're trying to get to win some championship goal. Completely different question. So first I'm going to deal with the chess side of it. If we're just dealing with how advanced should my child be, here's sort of a formula that you can go by. You can take their age minus 8 and then go times 150. And that would be a reasonable rating for a child who's not obsessed with chess. This is assuming that they start at about age 8. A lot of kids can start at age 6, some even earlier. So if that's the case, take the age that they started at and then multiply by 150. In the beginning, they should be way ahead of that. I would expect a 9-year-old who'd spent a year studying chess to have a rating of a lot more than 150, but at least that. Usually if a kid's been doing chess for more than a year and going to some organized chess tournaments and their rating is under 300, it usually means that they don't have any interest. And it does not mean that they're not competitive. It does not mean that they're not intelligent, and it does not mean that they don't have potential at thinking type things. It's just not everyone's cup of tea, and some parents have to realize that sometimes their child doesn't like chess as much as they would like them to like chess. If a person is just not competitive, they can certainly show their wares in science project contests and math contests and stuff like that. If they really just don't want to compete, then they can just do stuff that's non-competitive. A lot of very bright kids enjoy playing music and become extremely good at the piano. In fact, a lot of chess players do. So there's always other hobbies that are certainly well worthwhile. However good your child is, that's good enough. And that's a very important attitude. Pushing kids too hard never helps them. And the kids that do best are always the kids that push themselves more than the parents ever would. But if we've got to have a test, we'll say take their age, subtract 8, and multiply by 150. So if you have a 10-year-old, then you'd have 10 minus 8 times 150. They should have a rating of at least 300. Now, I will tell you that the good players, kids who are considered pretty good for their age, usually have a rating of their age times 100. So an 8-year-old might have a rating of 800. But this is if they're very interested in chess and play chess regularly. By the time they're 12, their rating will probably be, say, 1600 or so, even though times 100 would just leave it at 1200. The average rating, now you might wonder, what's this rating thing? Where does that come from? The United States Chess Federation, www.uschess.org. In the United States, amateur players have their rating through this organization. An average rating, I believe, is somewhere around 1400 right now. That's an average that includes both adults and children. The adults average is probably closer to 1500. If someone is 400 rating points above you, they should beat you at a 10-to-1 ratio. The actual formula would be 10 to the power of the rating difference, we'll call it RD, over 400. So if someone's rating is 800 above yours, they should beat you at a 100-to-1 ratio. If someone's 200 points above you, then the square root of 10 is about 3.16. They should beat you about 76%. So a 1600 player should beat a 1400 player at a roughly 3-to-1 ratio, as should an 1800 beat a 1600. Okay? So the average rating among kids is probably between 1,000 and 1,200 kids in school. A lot of these competitions are held at schools and they're based on grade level. So we typically have kindergarten through first grade, K3, K5, K8, and K12. Of course, the national grade level championships have each individual grade separate. Okay, you'll find at the national level some of the top first graders already have ratings above 1500. So the best opportunity to have a kid be a grade level national champion is a kindergartner, first grader, maybe a second grader. After that, they're already, the top ones are very, very strong. But they do it by grade level, so this is why a lot of kids, if they start when they're age 10 or so, they can easily get very frustrated because they're competing against the top kids. If they're good, the top kids almost always are kids who've taken lessons since they're 5 or 6 years old. In adult tournaments, they have the sections separated by rating. So, if your child is motivated and they are participating and they're practicing online, which is important, one of the sites I recommend is chessmagnetschool.com. That would be at let's see if I can make this move up. www.chessmagnetschool.com. There's no replacing having a private tutor. A private tutor is going to know exactly what to show a student so that they can improve their weaknesses. But having said that, it's very important that they're actually able to frequently see complete whole games by the student where the student has no access to parental assistance or any other assistance. So there's chessmagnetschool.com. Let's say your child starts at age 6. We're going to expect to see them with a rating of 600 within a year of instruction. Now, if they don't get to, say, 1,000 rating by the time they're 10, usually it's because they're not that into it. And they might be a very smart kid, but if they really just don't care that much about it, I don't think it's very productive to suggest that they should come in first in the tournaments and win the trophies, which you know they want to do. So I would recommend when your child comes out of a game, don't even ask them how they did, because if they won, they'll be anxious to tell you. And especially egotistical boys, if they lose, you know, they don't want to tell you right away. Girls feel like they've let you down when they lose, even if they know that's not the case, even if you've told them that it's okay to lose. They still would much rather win, mainly to make their parents happy. Boys just like to vanquish the enemy. But without motivation, there's not going to be improvement. So if you're looking for a way to say, how is my child doing chess-wise, I would look for their rating to at some point be 100 times their age if they're going to USCF rated tournaments. If they're playing online, it could be a little bit more than that, because usually if you play online, you get to play frequently, so your rating does have a chance to catch up with where you're really at. Aside from that, if your child is enjoying playing chess and they're participating and they're finding chess friends there, it's going to become part of their life, and 99% of the educational value of them playing chess will be there, even if they're not a champion at chess. If you're strictly concerned with your child being a chess champion, then the one thing that's going to be necessary is that they really have it in their heart to do so. And you can tell usually within a month or two, within about 10 lessons or so, how the kid will be motivated. Because sometimes some kids will start with a lot of motivation, and then when they see how much work it is to really get to the top, they might decide it's not worth it. And it can go the other way around too, where kids think, oh, I can't get good at that, and then they see their progress and then they become more interested. So also, kids under 8, you never know what they're going to end up liking. But I really wouldn't recommend chess lessons for any kid who doesn't express an interest in taking them. So next time a parent asks you, how is my child doing? First, talk to them about why is their child doing chess. And then when you know what their why is, then you know how to answer their question. Because it's a very different question. Is my kid behaving in class? To will my kid be a chess champion? It's a different question from different people. So it is not reasonable to think that if your child takes chess lessons, they should win 100% of their games. And any parent who thinks that over should quickly realize that their child is competing with other kids who think the same thing. So 50% is good if you're playing people who are at your own level. And if you're trying to improve, you're playing people presumably who average a slightly higher level than yourself. So 50% is not even required to be doing well. So I hope this answers some of your questions. You can contact me at Chris at chrischess.com. I'm going to type it in here. Chris at chrischess.com. And you can use that to contact me. So for now, thanks for listening. And again, this is Chris from chrischess.com.